everybody I'm talking about, and I respect that people kept it a bean with him even in his interviews. I watched his Breakfast Club interview, and Jessa Larissa, of course, she's from Baltimore. She was kind of like, yeah, I never heard of you before. And I live in the DMV area, and like I said, I'm not gonna say I've never heard of him because I know a lot of people who are really into the boxing scene in the DC area because it is a huge boxing scene in the DMV area. So I do know people who know him, but we talking about a household name, a name that kind of really draws attention to people. I don't think he had that name, and he knew that, and that's why he even kept shouting Tank out like, "Thank you for even putting me on this stage and allowing me to be able to." I mean, it's your first fight of the year, so allowing people to really actually tap in. And I do think realistically, one thing I would kind of, I mean, of course, this is like just on some hindsight 2020 and just wishful thinking. I honestly wish they would have did the fight in the DMV area. I know Baltimore doesn't have a big enough arena probably to hold a Tank fight actually, but even if they would have took it back to Capital One, just because the CIAA was here over the weekend, and I think just keeping all of that black energy in the DMV area, it would have been tight because people could have kind of just bounced around from DC to Baltimore the entire weekend instead of just taking it to the Barclays Center. Because I don't think I mean, of course, just the name of the or of the Barclays Center, but we talking about seating wise, the Capital One Arena and the Barclays Center maybe literally off a couple hundred people from each other. I think one can hold. I want to say I think the Barclays Center hold maybe 21,000, and I think
may hold the most.
What?
The Verizon hold the most.
Yeah, so then that's my point. So what was even the purpose of even taking it there? And that's why you could. I mean, like I said, I'm sure they may have just not thought about twice about it, or maybe thought that they didn't want to give.
Bring them money.
You said bring who money?
Them no money.
What you mean who?
I'm pretty sure probably the seating. They don't. I don't because what was the last one? Was it?
What you mean? If the Capital One hold more money, if the Capital One hold more people,
but I'm just saying,
bring more money.
But I'm saying, like because it's New York, so that's what I'm saying. I feel like they probably would spend more money.
No, the price of a fight is going to be a price of a fight. I just think realistically, I think just the Barclays Center, just alone, just that allure, because it's New York City, I think that just allure by itself is kind of what more of a draw. If you're sitting here saying, okay, hey, you want to do a big fight at the Barclays Center in New York City, or do you want to do the Capital One Arena? And it may be just for both of them, they kind of say like, maybe let's make it a little bit more of a neutral ground place. So, I mean, I kind of get it, but just to me, I'm just saying, just in the perfect world, I would have preferred them to take that fight and keep that fight, especially because a lot of the undercards on that fight was also from the DC area. So I do just think realistically that to me just would have made a lot more sense. Like, hey, just bring it to the Capital One. I mean, it's Tank. It's going to sell out regardless. It don't matter where he was at. So, I mean, just to me, just to keep that whole energy just actually in the DMV Baltimore area, I think it would have been perfect. Like I said, and it kind of made me question a little bit, even when just going around the CIAA area in Baltimore over the weekend, it made me think like, sometimes with black people, do we try too hard to be over things or make it seem like I've outgrown certain things? Because I kind of want, and I was looking at, I'm thinking of like, of course, the skill level is not as nowhere near comparable to like March Madness or none of the case may be, but it don't even matter. Even when we talking about with March Madness, it could be the first weekend of March Madness, like the opening brackets where some of the teams you never even heard of before. It'll still sell out wherever, but where the CIAA is kind of just like, it's almost like to the point where now, and that's why we talked about it maybe a couple of weeks ago, where it felt like it was more of a. It was more of a vibe. It was more of a thing to do when it was in the North Carolina area. Because I mean, I do think one thing about people in the South and compared to further up north, and of course, DC isn't like up north where people are kind of like the Boston and New York. But I do think sometimes people get too busy and they get too cool for just things that you may have used to love to do when you were a little bit younger. Because I think it's just like, I was looking at it like, it's like, I felt like there was no middle ground. It was like either a bunch of super older black people there, and it was kind of like, I felt like it was almost like, maybe like 45 and 50 and over out there, like actually just out and about around that area that's just like parlaying with what was going on. And it was kind of like there was no like the younger 30s or the 20s or nothing. Like I felt like there was no in between with it. It was like literally just the old heads who probably already been going to the CIAA for years, and that's just their thing that they kind of already just do. And it's just like, I was like, damn, it just felt like maybe if Tank and them was here, it kind of would have just helped keep that energy. Because sometimes you just do need something refresher, because it's not like, I just feel like it ain't no real promotion behind the CIAA. And I don't think it needed it at the time when it was in North Carolina, because I felt like it just was like the draw, like even just the rappers that was there. It's
people
just like
to travel down south a lot.
I mean, I guess
it's easy to travel down south than to come up north.
Why you say that?
I just feel like that's more of a venture. You got better weather. It's more of a, you know what I'm saying? Just something to get away. I don't, like I said, you come up south, you come up north, it's like, all right, damn. the hotels or whatever I might stay, I'm paying more because it's up here. Like that's more of a, you know what I'm saying? Like
that's a good point right
like
there.
antique, like them homecomings and all that.
I think the hotel price right there, I think that to me, I'm totally with you on that one. I do agree. I don't know how much the weather is a dramatic change from North Carolina to Baltimore, but I do agree with you with the hotel prices. I totally agree with you on the hotel, especially hotels actually in that area, in that downtown Baltimore area by the harbor. I do agree with you. Like if you probably, I mean, well, I don't know, because Charlotte ain't. I mean, well, Charlotte is such a up and coming area now where it's like, I do hear even a lot of people who are from North Carolina, especially even close to that Charlotte area, complain about how they're kind of just trying to price out the people who are born and raised in that Charlotte area. So, I mean, I'm sure you hear those complaints a lot about it. Don't matter what the area is. But I do agree with you. You might be absolutely right. It just may be more financially responsible to travel down south than it is to go up north. But it's just still, even for people in the DMV area, it was like, I felt like more of us used to even travel to North Carolina, where now you ain't got to get a hotel. You could just drive literally 30, 40 minutes up the street and you could be there, but it's just like it don't have that same lore. And maybe because, like I said, I think sometimes it just goes with an age thing where some people may be feeling like, all right, cool, I used to do the CIAA all in my 20s, and you feel like you outgrow something, but it's like, damn, when you outgrow things, it's kind of like who passes on the torch for the next generation to even be able to appreciate the CIAA. And that can kind of even go down with, I guess, I mean, just with go-go kind of losing its luster, where it's not as ooh and ah like it used to be, because bands used to look forward to, oh yeah, we can go to, we playing the CIAA. And maybe again that goes back from, it's a difference between saying, oh, we playing in Baltimore than you playing in North Carolina, because more seemed like, hey, oh, we playing in North Carolina, it was more of a big deal type of thing than saying hey, I'm playing in Baltimore. So I do think that kind of hurts that little passing of the torch as well. And like I said, to me, I think what would have helped the CIAA out a lot this year would have been to have that Tank fight. But like I said, just I guess moving on to the actual fight and just even some of the actual undercards. Man, shout outs to what's my man name? Gary Russell Jr. Man, he was the fight literally right before the Tank and Lamont fight. Oh my God, though, he was rocking that Spanish nigga that he was fighting. Though I'm talking about, he ain't drop him, but oh my God, he was crushing that man. Like that's one thing about them. I mean, if you watched enough shit, if you've seen enough Mayweather fights, or even some of earlier, like the last couple of years of Tank fights, fighting them Spanish niggas they ain't easy to drop. It don't matter how. I'm talking about, though, he was punishing this dude, and he could not drop him to save his life. Like, and it was like you could tell he really wanted to drop him. Like he was hitting him hard enough to drop him, but the Spanish nigga just wouldn't fall. Like I'm talking about, he was hitting him. Oh my! Like listening to the announcers even call it, and it was just like, if this was somebody else, you probably would have dropped him. But this dude was not. He was not about to allow you to drop him, and he did. I believe he won a belt that night too. I want to say his jump was a 140. Like I said, he punished Slim. I ain't gonna hold you. He went to work on him, and that's again, like I said, why it was just such a DC DMV undercard. That's why I kind of wish they would have just had it at the Capital One Arena. But like I said, he put on a great performance, and I believe his dad, rest in peace to his dad, Gary Russell Sr. I believe he also was a boxer as well. But again, like I said, sometimes just when we talk about just platforms opening up for this Tank fight, it just helps out a lot more because it's just way more eyes on it. And I think that was even one of the reasons why. I mean, of course, and let's be clear, Tank is a troll. He trolls Shakur. He trolled Crawford, Haney, all of them. When they lose their fights, he trolled them. So I'm not sitting here making it seem like, oh, y'all just couldn't wait to see Tank lose, because I mean, he do it to every last one of them. Like he literally trolled every last one of them. Even if they win a fight and it's a too close of a fight, like the jump we talked about Shakur last weekend with his fight, and he was fighting what was the dude? I want to say, was he not a mechanic? What was he? Well, just to say a mechanic for, because I can't remember exactly what his profession was. But anyway, he was trolling him after that fight. So, like I said, I get it. But I do think for a lot of these boxers, even for Roach, I kind of want to see like, okay, boom, you Tank through you this alley, you on this big stage, you showed everybody you real live, really a big dog, you could really fight. But it's like, now what do you do with that momentum? And I think a lot of boxers kind of lose that momentum. Like I think people, like, just to prove that you are a boxing purist fan, I think a lot of people watch Crawford, but it's still kind of not that allure. Like when Tank fight, it's a thing. Like, and of course that may just be in the black community, but that's the only community that I'm speaking to, or even kind of care about, if I'm being honest. But so when Tank fight, it's such an event. It's like people geek and people stop. Like even when Shakur, he fought last weekend, nobody didn't care. It wouldn't even have been a story if what the dude's actual profession was, who he fought. Like nobody would have cared. Okay, you took Slim to the 9th round, but the only reason why people cared is because he's not a professional boxer. So that's what made it a conversation. So it's just
that was the one where the dude, somebody got suspended, or
I forgot something
happened.
Whoever he was supposed to fight. I believe he may have got sick or injured or something. Whatever, I forgot what happened, but it literally was just the last minute, and they just switched the dude out. But my whole point of it is he had a fight. It was a fight, and I think boxers do a horrible, like even when we talk about music, where it's like people are so scared to lose, kind of, even like I said, when we talk about music, when people are so terrified about your first week numbers, it's like you scared to drop music. And I think even for fighters, even for Tank, where you take too much of a break off, and I kind of was wondering them, and because it was like, do it necessarily need to be that much of a break? Because I'm wondering, like, how much difference is from being a boxer from being a running back in the NFL? Like, if running, like, you got to think about it, like,
you're training wise, right? You training for that opponent and their moves.
No, of course you're training, but what's the difference between? That's why I compared it to football, and I didn't do basketball, because football is still a physical contact sport, and people are like, you don't even hear. I'm not sitting here saying there's not CTE with boxing. I'm sure it is, because if you listen to you listen to Mike Tyson talk, you listen to Vander Holyfield talk, or even late Muhammad Ali, when you hear some of them talk, you can tell that they ain't still got it all upstairs. But still, when I'm thinking about like a football player from like somebody like a Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley, they take a lot of pounding, and I kind of wonder, like, damn, why do so many boxers take so long off in between fights? Yeah, of course you're training for your opponent, but yeah, I think you can lose it. Because let's say if Lamont don't take another fight for another 3 or 4 months, I don't necessarily, because out of sight, out of mind. You're not already a household name. So if you take 2, if you don't, to me, the smart thing, if I was managing Roach, he should have a fight already for Memorial Day weekend, because you kind of want to keep your name wise hot. Because if you wait too long and you go to Labor Day, I may forget who you are. I might not remember, oh, this was a dude who fought Tank by Labor Day. You know how much, think about how much content people take in and how many hot stories is on the Shade Room or on ESPN or whatever the case may be, where you'll completely forget about this. By the time the NFL draft come in, you talk about where we in NBA playoffs, I'm not even thinking about who Tank fought a couple of months ago. So if you don't kind of already got like, you should have, to be honest, I'm keeping it a bean, if you kind of believed in your ability to fight, I would have already had a fight in the pocket lined up for Memorial Day weekend after Tank win, lose, or draw, because now people at least still got to see your skill. Because now, like I said, again, when are you going to promote? And then when will people be locked in like they was? And that's one thing I can say about even just what's so.
But is the field that open? Like, is it? You know what I'm saying?
You may not fight somebody as popular as Tank. Of course not, because it's not. Tank is a one-on-one type of popularity when you're talking about household name into boxing. But that's why.
But I'm saying, but don't it come behind, like, on promotion wise? Like, I'm just not going to just throw a party together if I know I'm not going to make no money. So that's why I'm just. I mean,
of course. And I like that breakdown. You're absolutely right. But still, it's to the point where it's like, yeah, but you still kind of need to be ready.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you're getting ready, you're sparring, you're doing all this for training. That's why I say I don't think their fights be back to back like that, because it has to do with promotion and all that. So your main event fight, it's going to take a while for you to build that up. Like, I get it, because
but I'm saying, but you're talking about, we talking about. Listen, think about it though. Like, even just now, I mean, even like, let's sit here and say if he don't have it today, but you shouldn't have it. You shouldn't let it linger more than a week or two, because I'm telling you, 2 weeks from now, he gonna go back to the same person. With people, if you're not already a fan of his, you go back to just the same dude, where I don't necessarily have people going to remember you for it.
Yeah, but I think that's the sport of boxing, because like I said, yes, you might fight little undercards or whatever the case may be in between, but I don't feel like that's gonna, like, you trying to draw more people to what? Because like I said, if you draw them to a fight that's really not promoted, or it's like, all right, damn, you fight nobody, they're not gonna really care. So regardless, if you get in a fight, I think you have to fight somebody for them to really pay attention to you.
Yeah, but I don't think it's to be honest, I don't think it's enough somebody's. Perfect example.
So that's why I'm saying, like, you saying why they take so long, but that's probably why, because you don't have too many options to pick from. Ain't too many people really fighting, or ain't too many people got a name. So it's just like, all right, what are we going off of? Because you can't, and that's why I feel like, even like when a lot of these people get mad at the whole Jake Paul and all them, the shit that they do, but like, they're using their advantage. They're using their promotion, if likeness.
No, of course. But I agree with everything you just said. You're absolutely right. And that is the difference between Jake Paul and people, quote unquote, let's just say real professional boxers, is Jake Paul know how to keep himself hot. Constantly 20 the whole 24 hours around the sun, he continuously know how to keep himself popular, so he can always be the draw, no matter who he fighting. And of course, if he can fight somebody like Mike Tyson, it's gonna be a way bigger draw. But still, even if Jake Paul go fight somebody random, Jake Paul's still gonna be able to do numbers because he's Jake Paul. But I think a lot of boxers, because you, like, again, you go talking about training and actually trying to be great at your craft, I do think a lot of boxers don't have the same time as Jake Paul to kind of build up their name. And I do, that's why you kind of even got to give Jake Paul Paul some credit because it's like, yeah, I'm building my name. My name is still my name, and I'm still continuously building my name as I'm still trying to catch on with my skill, so my skill can match my level of name. Where I think a lot of professional boxers it's like, yeah, you're great, you got a great skill, but your name don't match your skill almost. Like, it's like, yeah, cool, you're great, but then it's like, what are you going to be the next? That's what I said. I think all the boxers who were trolling Tank yesterday, I understand it because I'm on social media, so I see him trolling them, but it's still like none of y'all really a draw like Tank is a draw. Maybe some people could argue, okay, yeah, well, Terrence Crawford is. I mean, yeah, maybe and maybe not. Like Terrence Crawford, next fight got to be against what's the Spanish white looking nigga? I think what is his name? I can't remember, but he an older dude. Like he older. He like I'm gonna say he may be almost pushing like 40. And in boxing time, like that's super old. It's Canelo. It is Canelo. Crawford and Canelo supposed to fight. So my whole thing, even with that, is like, I don't know. I just do think a lot of these boxers got to kind of figure out how to make themselves popular, like how to figure out to keep your name high. Even like you say, if it's just because you don't want to sit here and just keep taking fights, and then some of these stadiums and arenas don't sell out. I understand that, but still, then what do you do to keep yourself popular? Because it's kind of like, everybody gonna be looking to fight Tank then? Because it's like, I mean, I that's the only thing that I kind of really see to it. I mean, of course, and I will play the clip of him. One of the bigger takeaways of the night was him taking a knee. And then basically, and so some people were, and I seen different people, I even seen people Google the actual rules to the fight, and it was like, if a boxer takes a knee and he wasn't knocked down or didn't take a hit before he took the knee, it's like you can do it. So I seen a lot of people on the fence with it, was like, oh, that's supposed to count as a knockdown or whatever the case may be. So he blamed it on his hairstyle.
I just got my hair done 2 days ago and she put grease in my shit, so the shit was like, like when you sweating and things like that and the grease come in my face, it burnt my eyes type shit. Damn, why y'all booing like I'm saying bullshit? Like, this is real facts.
And I do want to say, and of course,
that's true.
And no, for sure it's true, but his stylist wanted to defend herself and said, "Dora, I did your hair on Wednesday. Let's be serious."
Now my question to her though. We didn't know who she was. Did anybody?
I mean, he tagged her. Of course he did. He ain't tagging he ain't no bam ass nigga.
No.
That's when she was on his head, he tagged her. That's how people knew how to find her.
Oh, so it was videos of him getting his hair done.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know. That's what I'm saying. I'd never seen that. That's what I'm saying.
Just no. Yeah, they showed. Okay, he showed. He tagged her. Why she was doing his hair? No, because I mean, of course, because that's a part of his look. That's a part of his thing, and he got a new face tat, so he wanted to show off the new tat he got. Yeah, he tagged her in the joke. That's how people knew how to find her.
That's my only thing. I'm like, but damn, nobody even knew who you were.
No, hell no. They knew who she was. No. She knew who the hell no. They knew exactly who she was.
Yeah, see, I didn't know.
Yeah, no. They knew exactly who she was.
I was like, damn, why would you even say anything?
No. They knew who she was. They pulled up the video of him getting his hair done and everything. But again, like I said, and my only thing to Tank is, I mean, and of course, I'm not like no boxing, whatever they call, whatever that crazy word that people use. I don't know boxing like that. But my only thing, what I would sit here and say to kind of blow me about Tank is, like, bro, you could start earlier. Because even with that fight, like them first couple of rounds, you that was on you. Like, even if the fight would have went exactly the same exact way and nothing would have changed, if you would have picked it up in the first 3 or 4 or 5 rounds, you might have still could have won that fight. But it's just because that first round you kind of just give it away. You don't care. The second round you kind of give it away. The third round you put a little bit more effort. It'd be like, I'm listening to the commentators, and it's kind of like, even when Tank do his interviews, it's like, all right, don't count nothing before the 6th round. But you could be 6 in the hole. So now that means the next 6 you got to put on damn near a complete excellent fight. And I seen a joint with one of his the two of his men in the corner. I want the one of the older dudes who always do the talking, and I guess the other guy's a newer guy in his corner. And they was kind of like even arguing where he was like, well, Tank thought he still had more rounds to go, and it was kind of just like, but that's my point. Why wait so late? Like, and I get it. They be like, oh, he trying to figure out his opponent, but it's just like, all right, make it make sense. Because even going back to the conversation, what you just sitting here saying, okay, you are preparing for your fight, and that's why the fights are so far apart. Well, if that's the case, then nigga come out and get right to it. Like, you sitting here dragging it for 6 rounds where it's like, dog, that's on you now. Like that, you can't sit here like that. The only thing that kind of really blow me about Tank fights, and again, like if you are a Tank fan, you watched enough Tank fights, at least probably like the last 7 fights, that is his bag, and that's kind of the standard for him. But it's still kind of just like, I hope last night fight kind of woke him up to realize, like, bro, you got to wake it up a little bit earlier. And you can't you can't not give Lamont Roach his credit because he brought it to him. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. That probably the only other Tank fight I seen there where I felt like, damn, somebody was giving. What was it? I want to say it was the Spanish dude with the yellow shorts on. I want to say it was the Spanish dude with the yellow shorts. I want to say it's his name. The Garcia fight was cool, but I'm talking about somebody that I actually thought had a second where I thought he was about to beat Tank. Was I want to say his name Victor? I think it's Victor Pitbull Cruz or whatever his name. I want to say it's like Victor Pitbull something, whatever it can be. I remember that fight. That dude had on yellow shorts. He was the only other person I've actually seen get in the ring with Tank, and I thought like, damn, he may be about to beat Tank. But then again, Tank hit that thing at the sixth round, and he just turned it completely up. But then, like I said, Roach was ready for him. Like I felt like even for Roach, he fought Tank at his pace. Like he didn't do too much. He did enough to win rounds leading up to the 6, but he paced himself enough. So when Tank turned it on, he was ready to turn it on with Tank. Like he
was eating them punches.
Oh, hell yeah, he was eating them punches. He was eating them punches and he was returning them jokes. Like let's be clear, he did his big one. But he put on a great fight. To me, that was, if we talking about just for, if you didn't go in, it's like if you some hardcore diehard Tank fan, I think that to me was one of that was the best
Tank didn't have
fight.
a name attached to him, you won that fight.
No, of course, but if we talking business wise, and I think sometimes,
and that's like I said, to make it a draw.
No, but no, not even just to make it a draw, but just like what you just sit here and said just a few minutes ago, is like your name don't carry enough weight. So even if you won this belt, and if we the boxing commission and there's still a business, we still want to make money. I can't make no money allowing you to beat Tank. Because who you gonna fight next?
And because Tank talked about his whole retirement shit, like that probably would have just sent them definitely, because what he said, I think he got a year left in him. That's what he's saying. So just imagine if he would have actually lost that fight, he'd probably be like, "Fuck this shit, I'm not doing it."
Not even just that though. Who would Roach fight next? Like, because it would be just realistically like, okay, how would you carry the torch next if you actually won that fight? Even in the fight, he was sitting here saying, "Oh, Tank," like during the 11th and 12th round, he was like, Tank was telling him like, "Bro, you know you're not gonna win this fight. Like, if they go to the card, they not gonna let you win this fight." In which realistically, I mean, just if we talking about business wise, that makes sense. Because again, like we sit here and said, if you don't hop on this is almost like you get a crazy Drake feature and you don't know what to do with that feature next. Because you either gonna be the Migos or you gonna be what's my man on a Tuesday. It's either two ways you're gonna take that. You either gonna take this feature and allow it to escalate your career to the promised land, or it's gonna be like, oh, people gonna remember, oh yeah, that was a dude, he fought Tank, he had a great fight, and then it was like, all right, now what's next? And then you don't come with some hot next, then it's gonna be like, all right, we forgot about you. You're gonna still put out music, so you still gonna fight, but it's gonna be like, is that fight gonna still have that same oomph behind it without Tank? Mm-hmm. So that means, like I said, again, shout outs to Lamont Roach. He put on a great performance. And again, like I said, shout outs to what was my man name? Did the fight? Gary Russell Jr. Shout outs to both of them. Both of them put on for the city. And then again, shout outs to Roach for even bringing out No Savage. And for people who may not be familiar, if you're not from the I think at first I thought he was coming out with backyard because he did start off when he first came to the jump. It started off with some backyard. I was like, damn, if he had backyard walk out with him, like
no, it was a pro because he even said on the hook, Tank, we ain't scared of you.
Oh,
so once he did it, once he did it.
Oh yeah, that was fire. So
that's like, when I first heard it. I was trying to look and see if he was.
Yeah, that's what I was looking and seeing, and then they changed it to the no, and that is my favorite No Savage song, Reaper. That's probably realistically one of No Savage, probably to me that's his best song. That Reaper song goes stupid crazy. So for him to even walk out to it, that's a good look. And like I said, for most people, if you don't live in the DMV area, you may not be familiar with No Savage. No Savage is from 37th. Of course, that's the same neighborhood that Shy Glizzy is from, and he is signed to Shy Glizzy. So then he of course he was the dude who had the shootout in Tyson's Corner Mall. So I'm sure most people, if that was probably your first time ever hearing No Savage, if you don't live in the DMV area, is when he got in that shootout inside of Tyson's Corner Mall. And then he recently just got out. He hasn't even been out maybe nothing but a couple of months, maybe like 3 or 4 months, if that. So like I said, shout outs to him for even bringing No Savage out. That was a good look for him. And like I said, I do want to see what Roach can do with this platform next. How fast and how soon can he move on to it? I do think you just need to move on, to me, just like fast, because I see, like, even when I listen to anytime a boxer go up to the Breakfast Club, and a lot of times, like, I feel like Charlamagne be like he promotes Shakur Stevenson more than Shakur Stevenson promote himself. Like, he always kind of throw that mix in, like, oh, and people be like, oh, I want to see Tank fight Shakur Stevenson and this and that. Like, I feel like other people have to lobby for even somebody like Shakur Stevenson more than he can even actually lobby for himself. So I don't want to see Lamont Roach go down that same thing where it's like, oh, people know that you can fight. We seen that you could fight, but then it's like you were allowed.
But he had to go up a weight class or something.
Yeah, he had to go up. He normally fight at 130 and they fought at 135. Mm-hmm. So I mean, his normal. I mean, he has a belt at the 130 already. So I mean, he can go back down to his thing, or he can kind of prove that he may want to stay at that 135. But just still, again, with all that being said, it's like, man, just don't lose. That all I'm just saying is just don't lose what you got going right now. You got the hot hand right now. Your name is scorching hot. Just don't allow it to fizzle out, because I just do think realistically 9 times out of 10 that's what's gonna happen. I ain't trying to wish no bad on it, but I just think most people just don't. I don't necessarily most people be really ready for that moment. Like when you get it, it's there, and it's like, all right, what you gonna do with it?